Hello there, and welcome to part 2 of our Small Web Deep Dive series. Um, in the last video, we talked about Gemini, which is the more minimal internet protocol, and how to get started on building Gemini pages of your own. And today, I wanted to talk about personal websites. And now, these will be websites that just run on the regular internet that's served by HTTP, the internet that you can access through your normal web browsers like Firefox, Chromium, Safari, what have you. Um, and we're going to take a look at how you can get started building your own personal sites, some ways you can host it. There's some free hosts out there you can use. You can also do something like rent a VPS, which is what I do. But we're just going to take a quick look at some of this. We'll build a very small example page. I'm going to show doing things through just writing stuff out in vanilla HTML and CSS, because that's what I do personally. I've also helped like customers and friends and stuff build websites. And for some of them, to make it easier for them, we've used something like Ghost or WordPress, which we'll take a look at. But we're not going to build anything on those. We'll take a look at them to show you that that is an option if you don't, want to get your hands dirty in the HTML and CSS and writing things out by hand and stuff like that. But anyway, let's jump right into it. I want to show you first. My personal site. We'll give you a quick idea of what some personal sites look like. This is mine. Let me make me a little smaller here so you can see properly. Now, this is my website. We have a good bit of stuff here. We've got a blog, like your personal site. First off, real quick, why would you want a personal site? You've got Facebook, or you've got Twitter, or you've got whatever, you've got a profile on whatever social media site. Why do you want a personal site? Well, the biggest reason you would want a personal site is because, for one, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. You can make it look however you want. Okay. Now with Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you can use it and put stuff there, but it's not yours. You don't know if that company's ever going to shut down, if something's going to happen to it. Maybe Facebook decides screw this tomorrow and they turn off the servers and all your stuff goes away, or Twitter goes away, or whatever. We've seen social networks come and go. Some of them have been in it for the long haul. They've been there a long time. But the point is, a personal website belongs to you. You can do whatever you'd like with it. You can't be banned. You can put whatever you want up there. You won't be banned. But that's just part of it. And of course, you can make it look however you'd like. when you make a Facebook account or a Twitter account or whatever, it looks like the company wants it to look. You can put your profile picture there. You can make posts, excuse me. But beyond that, that's pretty much what you can do. But with a personal site, you can make it look any way you want. And as you can see here, mine follows my color scheme, what I call the Nightshade Neon color scheme. It has a good bit of pages. It has a now page, a blog page, a wiki, some of my recipes, my bookmarks, websites that I want to share with people that come along. Maybe if they like my site, maybe they'll like these sites too. Contact info, how you can get in touch with me, and links to other places I exist on the internet. My about page, and there's a donate button here, which if you're making content and you want to put a way for people to support you, if you want that exists outside of some platform like Patreon or whatever, you can do that too. Now, a now page, this is something that that's become a thing on personal sites. Like, here's a site called Now, and these are sites that have now pages. And now pages kind of are like miniature blogs. It exists for me. It's sort of like a little journal. Like if you go to my Now page, um, you'll see that it's like for example, a few weeks ago, I posted on November 27th. I posted some pictures. I shared some pictures from my Neighborly account uh, with some of our pictures from seeing the auroras the other night, which was beautiful, by the way. Very, very fun. Um, but as you can see, I scroll down. It's just kind of a running log of stuff I've been up to. Like there's my chickens. You can use your Now page however you want. For me, I kind of use it as a long form journal. Like even if no one ever reads it, it's just kind of like my journal on the internet. It's where I put stuff that I've been up to. People use their Now pages in different ways, and I think that's great. Here's my blog. This is where I kind of go on about different topics. Like this is about reducing e-waste and bringing your old computers over to Linux. This was like right around the time that Microsoft was killing Windows 10 and stuff like that, and so I wanted to put a page here to send people, like if they want to try out Linux, here's like a step-by-step guide of how to install like Ubuntu, for example. Here's my wiki, which is like the main part of my site, or the digital garden. I encourage anyone that starts a personal website to run their own wiki. It's a fantastic way to sort of sort your knowledge. Like this is my personal knowledge base. It's got like everything I've ever worked on, everything I ever will work on, stuff that I learn. Like, for example, I put some of my music here. Here's one of my albums. You can come here, you can listen to it. You know, like it's great. It's a fun way to share stuff that you know things about, or share stuff that you're working on, projects like software projects, music, art, whatever you might be into. So that's the wiki. I've got my recipes right here, like for example chili here, and cooking instructions, all that good stuff. Great way to like I like cooking, so I was like, oh, what's the great thing to put on the site? Recipes section to share my recipes. Bookmarks, this is just, I've got it sorted by HTTP links, links from Gemini, which are right down here, and onion links from Tor. This is just a cool way to share some sites that I read a lot, and that I think, oh, someone is reading my website, maybe they'll be interested in some of these websites. Okay. Here's my contact page, just different ways to get a hold of me on different platforms. My email, Fediverse, Nostr, Blue Sky, all that good shit. My about page, this is just, you know, you put a little bit about yourself, and this is just where I've got like a Bitcoin address and stuff like that, if someone likes what we're doing and wants to send over a little tip, or you know, whatever the case may be. So how do you build a personal website? Well, I do it with just vanilla HTML. This is all handwritten HTML and CSS. For me, that's the way I grew up. You know, what GeoCities was a thing, and I wanted to build websites. My first website was like talking about Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like this was back in the early 2000s or something like that. And that was like my first ever website. I wish it was archived. But I maintain several websites. This is my, like, you know, the big one. But so I'm going to show you some of like doing this, writing some HTML. But we're going to build a very small little web page just to show you like some of the basics of HTML and how you can get started. But I will also show you, so you've probably heard of a few of these. Oops. Well, it knew what I meant. So I've got a few things here to show you. The first one is going to be Ghost. This is I've built some Ghost pages for customers before that wanted like something they could stand up and easily use without editing code. Ghost is pretty cool. It's kind of like WordPress. It's open source, MIT license. I haven't used it in a while. I think the last time I spun up a Ghost instance, it was like maybe version 5 or something like that. It's on version 6 now, and there's been a lot of new stuff. I don't really have a lot to say about Ghost. I mean, it's great. I've never used it for any of my own sites. I've used it to help people get their own sites up and running. But it has a pretty easy to use interface, or it did. Like I said, I haven't messed with version 6. It has a pretty easy to use interface. It has a bunch of different integrations, and it has like a markdown editor where you can, or what you see is what you get editor, where you can type your pages up and organize them. I believe there was a themes area. Let me see. There used to be like a themes thing. Themes, yeah, here we go. So like here's some Ghost themes, you can make your site look like any of this stuff. It's pretty cool. It's MIT licensed, open source. I don't have any examples of Ghost sites to show you because it's been a very long time since I have built one. But it is an option if you want to get up and running with your own website. Another one that you've probably heard of before, WordPress here. WordPress powers, I don't remember the percentage, but WordPress powers a huge percentage of the internet. It's also open source. It's something that you can stand up on your own site and just kind of you go into your admin dashboard, and just start building pages with it. There's all kinds of themes, just like Ghost, It's pretty straightforward. You set it up, and I don't know if there's a theme. Yeah, here it is. I've built several WordPress sites for customers. But yeah, here's some of the themes that you can check out. And that's all cool. Like if you want an easy way to get a site up and running, and you don't, I don't want to learn HTML and CSS and stuff like that, WordPress and Ghost is a good way to go. Either of these, here's different themes you can see for both, and I'll link if you're interested in building a website with either of those tools. I'll link these in the description for this video. But what I really want to focus on is stuff like this. Now, I've shown you my personal site here. Now, what if you want to build your own site with HTML, CSS? You want to learn how to do it by hand and just like the way we used to do it back in the old days. That is where a couple of these come in. Now, let me see. Let me go to neocities.org here. And here is NecoWeb. These are both two of the same kind of idea. Now, NeoCities kind of replicates what we had back a long time ago with GeoCities, and NecoWeb kind of does the same. These are both free static site hosting services. I don't use either one of them, but I've seen them very heavily used and loved. I host mine. I'll show you where I host my site real quick, just so you can kind of. This is also an option. I use Vultr. You can get a VPS, which is a virtual private server, to host your website for a few bucks, $5 a month or something like that, and you buy your domain and you set it up, and you can put your website here. My server runs Debian, and I use SCP or FileZilla to put all my HTML pages over on my Vultr server. I'm not going to log into that, but basically this stuff ends up here, and it ends up exposed to the internet, which is how you see this. But going back to these, I would recommend if you just want to get started without sinking any money into it, but sinking a little bit of time into it and getting to learn HTML and CSS and stuff like that, and set up your own setting up your own personal website. You can't go wrong. I've heard great things about both of these. They have FTP, Git. You can set up, like, for example, on NeoCities here, when you sign up, you're like, if I set it up, it would be ravendust.neocities.org. I believe you might can bring your own domain to these. Don't quote me on that. You have to look into that. Here's some examples of some sites that have been set up here. Like, here's one. Don't know much about these, but that's cool. Like, there's a small directory here, and it's just so cool to see personal websites, you know. But yeah. So how do you get? Oh, and here's a little directory here on NecoWeb too. Let's see what this is. Pretty cool stuff. So how do you get something like this set up? You know, like going back to mine again as an example. How do you build a personal site from scratch? Well, we use this. We use HTML, which is the hypertext markup language. Now, HTML tells your browser, whether it's Firefox, Chromium, Safari, like I said earlier, HTML is the language that tells your browser how to render a page. Kind of like in the last video we talked about Gemtext. How you set up your Gemini page through your Gemtext tells your Gemini browser how to render that page and display it to people that come and read. Well, that's the same with HTML. And we're going to build a very small... We're not going to cover anywhere near what the scope of it. We're up to HTML5. HTML, you can build full-on apps. You know, you can do crazy stuff with HTML. We are just going to build a very small little site, a small little page, just as an example, like we did with the Gemtext website, or the Gemini capsule. Sorry. So let's go to my terminal, and we have a directory here. Now, when you are building a website, you know how your file extension for Gemini was .gmi? Well, here it's going to be .html. So vim.index.html, doesn't have to be Vim, use whatever you want, you know, Notepad, Sublime Text, VS Code, whatever. I like Vim. So let's do that, and let's zoom in a bit so you can see my terminal, my editor. Now, when you are building a web page in HTML, the first thing you want to do is we're going to tell the page declare doc type HTML, and then we put HTML tags. Everything is done using tags like this. A good way to start is just go ahead and have your opening HTML tag here and your closing HTML tag here. Comments look like this. This is a comment. Now, if you remember in Gemini, in Gemtext, we had 3 different layers of headings, and it used the hashtags. Well, here in HTML, we have... Well, actually, before we go to headings, first let's do the head section here. Let's give our page a title. Example HTML page. Now your title here, this is what tells your browser, like when I go to my browser, every page has a tab title. Like here it's Raven Dust Hideout. Here on the Mozilla developer website, it's HTML, hypertext markup language, stuff like that. This is all put in title tags. You can see it right there. Raven Dust Hideout here. And if you look at my site here, you can see how, like, it gets pretty involved. But this is, like, we're not going to go into all of this. Like, this is a little more involved than the scope of this video is going to be. We might in a future video, but this is going to be bare HTML essentials just to get you started with very simple web pages. So now we're going to go into our body section. There's the opening and closing tags. I'll get a quick sip of water. So like I said, the first thing, let's make a header here. So H1, welcome to our example website. And that's an H1. You have H1 all the way down to H6. It gets smaller and smaller. You know, you can start using them as subheadings and stuff like that. Now this is a P tag. P is for paragraph. Welcome to our example site. We are going to learn about some HTML. Now what did I do here? I used the B tag here to create bold text. Now let me show you what we have so far real quick, just so you can kind of see where we're going. Whoops. Firefox Nightly index.html. Now this is what we have so far. This is our example website that we've got up. And let me get rid of this real quick. There we go. So this is our example website we've got so far. And let's compare. You can see, let me get rid of this. Whoops. Wrong pane there. Okay. You can see what we've written here and compare it to what we have here in the browser. So this is the local page running right here in our local Firefox. So let's go a little deeper. You can see where the HTML here is bold. That was from the B tag. You can also use strong for that, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. I want to go through some of the most used things just as a baseline, and you can start going from there. Oh, I just realized you can't see some of this. Let me move me down. There we go. Okay. So now you can see this is the B tag. Let's go a little deeper here. Okay. We'll drop an H2. This is a second level heading. If I can type right. That was an H2 tag. This is a third level heading. This is the H3. And now let's save it and show you where we're at there. Now, and it keeps going on and on. I'll show you. We'll just go ahead and make one for each. This is a fourth level heading. This is a fifth level heading. And this is the tiniest. See, the H6 and H5 start getting pretty small, as you can see there. So those are like your headings and stuff like that. Now let's get rid of some of these and move on to some other stuff here. We will get rid of all the extra headings. Now, let's change this and make a subheading out of it. Different ways, well, hang on, different tags you can use. Okay. So let's say you want to make a, we'll use some of the same examples that we used in our Gemtext video. Let's say, whoops, you want to make an unordered list. This will be a bulleted list. Now, what's the I tag there? Well, I just made italic text. Okay, and you can see wherever I use the I tag, we got italics there. So that's another way of formatting. So you've got your italics there. Now let's show you how to make the unordered list. For an unordered list, which has no numbers, it'll just be bullets, we use UL. And then for each list item, we just put LI in the list item 1, close that. List item 2, close that. List item 3, close that. So on, and then when we're done with it, we simply close the UL there. And as you can see, if we refresh the page, there's our bulleted list. Now let's say we want a ordered list with numbers. So what we would do is we will just swap the U here for an O, and that means ordered list, and that means it will automatically set numbers for us. So watch the bullets change to numbers, just like that. So OL for ordered list 1, 2, 3, and UL for unordered list bullet points, right? So up next we will, let's make another heading here. Well, actually we don't need to do that. Let's say we want to make a link. How do we make a link? Making links. So if I want to make a link, what I use is the A tag. So let's say I want to link you to my personal site. I would say my personal site lives at, well, hang on. We'll do it this way. I want to show you my personal site. Now you can see that I've wrapped the words personal site in these A tags, and right here I've put href. Now what goes in the href, you can probably imagine, it's the domain I want to link you to. So https ravenbest.xyz, I save that and I refresh the page, and I want to show you my personal site, and I click on that and it links you to my personal site. I go back. Okay, let's say I want to link you to, I don't know, I want to link you to DuckDuckGo. Please try my favorite search engine. Refresh that, and we'll open that in a new tab, and there you can see we link to DuckDuckGo. So that's how you make links. Very easy. What's the next thing we should show you? Now you can do more with links than just that. Like you can set target to blank and to open a new tab, but we're not going to go into that today. Let's show you how to do an image. Placing images on your page. Here is a picture of a, no, we'll just use one of mine. Here is my online avatar. Now the way you do this First, let me grab the address of my avatar, which is right here on this site. So copy image link. So what you do is img source, src for source here, and I put the address. You can also use local files, of course, but for simplicity's sake, we're just going to use this. Here's the source to my picture, and title. The title is like some text that will appear when you hover over it with your mouse. Title, my online avatar, and that's it. Let's save that and go back to our example page here, and there's that. I can also mess with the width and height and stuff like that to make it smaller or bigger, but we're not going to do that right now. So let's knock this all the way down to the bottom so that avatar isn't taken up like the entire thing. What else should I show you? Let me look at mine for an example. Block quotes. Yeah, that's something else we can show you. If you want to like place a quote, you just use this block quote. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? Happy masked salesman. And then we close the block quote tag here, and it will appear just like that. Now you can also style things, of course, and that is, we will definitely show like some very basic styling here in just a second. So is there anything else I should show you? Well, I'm not going to go into divs and stuff like that today. We'll create a small footer real quick. So on a lot of websites, of course, you'll see footers. We use an H4, our example site. And this will always appear, of course, at the bottom of the web page. So let's talk about styling for just a second. Some very basic styling. Let's say we want the, for example, footer stuff here to appear on the middle of the, right over here, centered. Well, we can do that. And now I'm going to show you some style stuff. So up here at the top, style. This is where we begin getting into CSS, and I'm not going to do anything crazy. We're going to show you some very basic CSS tonight, and I'm going to provide resources in the description of this video for you to dive in further, and we might dive in further in a future video. So let's say we are styling our footer. We do it just like this. If we want the text to be aligned in the middle, it's this easy. Text align center. See how our text is now aligned in the middle? And we can do that with anything. We can assign that to any tag. We can also style stuff in line. Now give me just a second. Let me show you something. Let's say we want, so we are sick of looking at this black on white website, right? We want white on black with, I don't know, some red headings, right? Okay. So let's say for our body here, we want background, color white. And there you have it. Easy peasy. Now let's say I want these to be neon pink. Actually, whoops. Instead of doing it that way, I want to show you another way to do it too. Let's say you want to do an individual element inline without doing it in the style area there. You can do that. So let's say I have a hex code. I do for the example I'm going to show you. Let's say I want this to be neon pink. Well, we can style it inline just like this. I'm going to use a hex code, FF10F0. This is neon pink. I know this because it's part of our color scheme and I use it all the time. And there you go. That's now changed. And let's say I want this one right here to be neon green. We can do that too. There you go. And you can do that with any element on the page. You can get as crazy as you want with it, of course. Like you can see how much fun I've had with it here on my thing. Like we've used gradients for these dividing bars here. But the idea is when you're doing your own stuff with HTML, like this is what we've written so far. This is just view source, control U on most browsers. But this is what we've written out so far. And you can compare it right here, so you can tell. But this is very basic HTML. We might, in a future video, go ahead and make a more involved page. I just wanted to show you like the very, very basics so that you can get started if you want to with building your own stuff and bringing it over to something like NeoCities or bringing it over to something like Vultr and starting your own VPS that holds all your stuff. Maybe I'll show you sometime how I manage my sites through Vultr and FileZilla and through the terminal with SCP and stuff like that. But this is just a very cursory look. I realize we're getting way longer here on this video than I meant to. We're already close to 40 minutes. But this was obviously a very stripped down look at what HTML is. But you can come here. MDN, Mozilla Developer Network, is a fantastic resource for learning HTML, or there's also, I'll link all of these in the resources in the video description below. There's W3 Schools. This is a great way to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, stuff like that. And there's also web.dev. Something else I will link. This is a Google property that kind of aims to be like MDN. It teaches you a lot of great stuff as well. So I will link each of these in the descriptions. But here's the example page we built. And again, there's the code. And I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that maybe you will decide to go, get started with building your own website. If you do, I just like that'll be great. And if you do, be sure to share it in the comments below, or if you already have a personal site, be sure to share it. Kind of like the Gemini pages we looked at before. If you like, maybe we'll take a look at some viewer submitted websites and stuff like that. That would be cool. And this was the second part of the small web deep dive. Personal websites are a big part of the small web. There are all kinds that you can take a look at. Like there's all kinds of personal websites right here. Like this is a very good one. This is by Devine Lou and Vega of the 100 Rabbits who I respect a lot. I'll link my bookmarks too. There's all kinds of personal sites and small web links on here that you can take a peek at. But again, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking out this video. In the next video, we will probably take a look at federated communities. things like the Fediverse, ActivityPub, and we'll get into some of that and teach you a little bit about these micro communities and Federation and how it works, and get away from the big corporate social networks and run your own if you'd like. So thanks again for stopping by. Hope you had a good time, hope you learned something, and we will see you in the next video.